In this tutorial we'll create a crystal generator that will give us an infinite number of different shapes with just one click. Like, hit the bell and let's get started. Let's go to the Geometry Node Editor. Click New. Remove the group input and add an icosphere. Add a Scale Elements node. Switch to the single axis mode and select Z as the scale axis. Let's set an arbitrary scale. Add a Set Position node. Now connect a noise texture to the offset. The color connector here. Add a Vector Math node. And subtract 0.5. Duplicate the Vector Math node and switch to the Scale mode. I'll leave the value at 1. And switch the noise texture to 4D mode so that we can change the noise using the W parameter. Next, let's add an instance on Points node. As the instance, we'll add a Mesh Circle primitive. We select N-Gon as the fill type, and set the number of vertices to 3. Add a Random Value node. In the max fields we should enter tau values. Duplicate the Random Value node and connect it to the Scale socket. Here we set values from 0.1 to 1. Next, let's add our Realize Instances node. And add a Convex Hull node, which will create the overall volume. Connect a Random Value node to the selection. Let's enter the value 0.6 here. By changing the seed parameter, we can get different crystals. Let's connect an integer node to the seed value. And connect this same node to the seed values in other nodes. Also connect it to W. And now, by changing the integer parameter, we'll get a new shape. We'll also add a Random Value node to the height scale value. Let's set the values from 2 to 4. And connect it to the seed. I will set probability to 0.66. And to make generating even easier, let's add an Object Info node. As the object, we'll connect a Self-Object node. And we use the location as a multiplier. In this way we get an infinite number of new generations depending on the location. Duplicate the Math node. Switch it to the Multiply mode. Add a random value node. And connect the parameter to the seed. In the max field, enter a random number. And thus in each new position a new crystal will be created. Let's add a group input node and connect the group input socket instead of the integer. This way we can control each crystal separately. Our crystal generator is ready. Let's move on to creating the material. To do this, add a set material node. Here we select the only material available in our scene. Let's remove the excess and leave one crystal. I'll return the camera to the 0 position. Also, we'll rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis. And zoom out a little so that the crystal comes into view. Select the light. Move on to the viewport shading. And we set the position of the light along the x and y axis to the 0 point so that it shines from above. Also set the rotation to 0. Switch the type to area. Let's go to the render settings. Choose cycles. GPU compute. Reduce the number of samples. Check the viewport denoise. Also in the light path section, set bounces to 50. And in the color management, we'll select Chronos PBR for more saturated colors. Next, we select our object and go to the shader editor. In the material settings, go to the transmission section. Here we set the value to 1. Also go to the thin film section, and let's set the value to 100 nanometers. Next, for the base color, we'll connect a layer weight node. The facing parameter. And here we insert a color ramp node. Set the colors. I'll pick green and blue. Switch from RGB to HSV. We may also add another slider in the center and set a darker and more contrasting color to get more interesting tints. Let's go to the emission section. Here we connect our color ramp node as the color. And as the strength, we'll connect the layer weight node. Here we also insert a color ramp node to control the strength. Let's add a math node in multiply mode to reduce this strength. Also connect the facing parameter to a map range node. And we connect the result to the roughness. Here let's enter values from 0.1 to 0.25, or even up to 0.3. I'll set the index of refraction to 2. And to get more interesting play of colors, we may add a mix color node connected at the top. Switch the layer weight as the factor. Add another color ramp node. Connect it here. Add a node noise texture. And we connect the factor to the value B. Let's connect texture coordinates to our noise texture. And switch to the object. Uncheck the normalize box. Set the scale to 1. And the detail to 15. We may also increase the roughness a little. Add an invert color node. Here I'll pick white. This way we'll get spectacular iridescence on the side edges. Now the faces of our crystal nicely refract and reflect light. I'll generate a new shape. Let's also add a bump node. Here we connect our noise texture as the height. And connect the normals. Let's reduce the strength so that the roughness becomes barely noticeable. I'll set the value to 0.05. Let's move the camera back so that the crystal is completely in the frame. To create internal cracks, go back to the Geometry Node Editor, select the Instance on Points node and duplicate it, keeping the connected nodes. Disconnect the instance and scale inputs. And as the instance, here we add a grid primitive with the following values. Size 8 and the number of vertices is also 8. These will become our future cracks. To make these cracks less straight and flat, we'll add a set position node and connect the scale to the offset. Now they have become chaotically curved. In order for them to be located more often horizontally, we'll move on to the random value, which is connected to the rotation. And here let's enter the following parameters. X and Y from -1 and Z from -pi. X and Y up to 1 and Z up to pi. And thus our cracks will more often be in a horizontal position. Next, let's add a mesh Boolean node. Let's also add our Realize Instances node. Switch the node to the intersect mode and connect the main crystal and its internal cracks. And as we see, we got cracks, but they are flat. To add thickness to them, let's go back to our grid. Let's add an Extrude Mesh node, also a Join Geometry node, and connect the rest directly. In the Extrude Mesh node, uncheck the individual box and enter the value 0.005 in the offset scale. In this way we get a slight thickness. Let's add a Join Geometry node and connect the internal cracks. And also the crystal itself. And now our crystal is ready. Please leave your comments if you have any questions. And don't forget to subscribe and like. There are more interesting videos ahead with generators and spectacular graphics. See you in new tutorials.